Peace, y'all. This is Mogul Jill with the Who Got the Answers podcast.
So when it comes down to this, is it true that you can also make creditors pay you for their mistakes?
For sure. And that's a part of 15 USC 1692
Yeah,
H.
we don't know this, guys.
Yeah. So that's it's a federal crime just because basically these people have taken your credit, and pretty much all of this money that you've been paying in every single month, that's been in tax because they already got paid. So when you're paying them again, that's literally paying them 2 times over. So all of this money that you've been paying in every single month, it's just literally sitting there in the escrow account until you pay the whole account off. And even still after you pay the account off, you have 3 years to come back before they take it, as abandoned property. But basically all this money that you put in this escrow account that you've been paying on every month, you can actually dispute that debt. Everything that I've paid, all this money and all this amount, according to 15 USC 1692 H, I want you all to, let me know, if you all can dispute this debt, if you all can rebut it. If not, I want you to, send my money to this address. And that's what it'll tell you in 15 USC 1692 H that, basically as the consumer, if we dispute a debt and they can't basically verify it, then we can tell them where to send our check to of all of this money that we've been paying in every single month. So it's just the law. It's not anything illegal. It's not anything corrupt. It's literally their own rules and their own codes, but it's not their job to teach us their laws. You know what I'm saying? They teach us what they want us to know. And even in law school, they'll never teach them about some of these federal codes and statutes just because they don't want them to even know that what they're doing is illegal. And that's another thing in 15 USC because all of these people are debt collectors. Lawyers work for the bar, which is a British credit registry, which is really all working through a court system, which is a business, and a court is a bank. These people are debt collectors, and they're just, these police officers, policy enforcers are out to give people tickets, and they're charging them, with these debts, and they're bringing them to the courthouse to make them pay. This is all business, and when we look at this from a business standpoint instead of from a personal, we'll start learning how to interact with these people instead of having fear. You know what I'm saying? You don't go into Burger King or McDonald's in fear when you're doing business with them. So why would you be in fear when you're dealing with a policy enforcer? He just wants to know, do you know the policy? And if you don't, I'm going to enforce some law on you, But if you do, then, he has no beef. He has no problem. I have no problem with police officers, and they have no problem with me. It's law. So, at the end of the day, we just have a conversation and we go on about our day. He wants to see his family. I want to see mine. At the end of the day, we're good, So, yeah, man, it's just business. And once we can take all of the emotions out and stop being, hostile or, or in their words, legally, they'll call it belligerent. We can stop being belligerent, and actually learn to conversate with these people, it's a wrap. And that's why we have a lot of demonstrations on our website. We've had sisters, who deal with the law, they'll record it and, and they'll just show you that, when you speak the legalese in their conversation, they know, they're taught the language, and they just, they want to know who you are. And if you do not know who you are, know thyself, then I'm going to treat you that way. Pretty much. So, but that's just about knowing and understanding when to jump in and out the matrix. When a policy enforcer is trying to enforce codes or statutes, that's when you say, oh, hold on, well, hold on, I'm a sovereign man. I'm just doing business out here in y'all's commercial world, but I still got constitutional rights. I can travel. I'm not driving. This is what I have the right to do. And it's like, oh, okay. I thought you were maybe a shadow or a slave out here. I just had to do a check. I just want to know were you driving or were you traveling? Okay, you were traveling. Oh, okay, you're a free man. Let them go. So it's a conversation. That's all it is. And they don't want no problem. It's really just it's peace, it's business. But of course. We make it more than what it is, and that's what kind of leads to these bigger situations. Yes, ma'am. So that's why knowing yourself and having a status correction is so important, because the status correction is mental, knowing who you are and knowing how to address and talk to these people. That's all. Yeah, indeed. The paperwork just backs up who you claim to be and what you already know, pretty much. But yeah, that's what I just wanted to always make that clear, because a lot of people be like, oh, let me get a card, let me get some paperwork, and that's going to save me. It's like, nah, I can slap them papers out your hand and be like, who are you? And as soon as you say the code word, and, oh, I'm a black man, it's over with. Because, you know, you opt in as that 14th Amendment shadow slave, well, you gave me the right to apprehend you as a policy enforcer. You know, they deal with blacks. They don't deal with Cherokees or Choctaws or freemen, you know, people who have a nation behind them. You do that, we can come get you as a nation of people. Yes, ma'am.
And that's first. I want to say two things. First, shout out to Papa Creek.
Yeah.
I literally have seen his video, and he literally runs through a light. I'm not telling you guys to do this, but he literally runs through the light. The police like get behind him. They see his national tag, and they do not stop him. Period. I want to go back to the SF 181 form because the main thing that I wanted to let people know is that we cannot be identifying as black. One, because you're not a real person. You have no rights. That's why they can literally kill you in the middle of the street and continuously get away with it, right? Second thing, do you know immediately after your forms are accepted, your credit score goes up because the insurance company is not looking at that black check. So these are small things that we don't know about our credit and just about our status in life, and it's really scary.
It is, you know, and, you know, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people have that doubt and, you know, of course, the cognitive dissonance, even when you tell them, well, you know, if this information is so true and it's so, you know, they don't ever deny it. They just say it's so true, you know, well, why isn't everybody doing it? Or why doesn't it's like, you know, if everybody knew the law, then they wouldn't have a system to operate. You know, they would have nobody to feed off of. You know, they have to feed off of your ignorance. They've taught you were black. They've given you pride in black. They've given you everything that was black. You know, just because we know that black is an adjective, that is not a noun. You know, they know this, and we taught you this in first grade. But, you know, if we could actually trick a person to believe that he is a color and he is operating under colorable law, then he is not even a real man. You know, because real people operate under nations. You know, nations run in the Olympics. You know, Blackadonia has never ran in the Olympics. You know, we might have seen some, you know, some Kenyans or, you know, some South Africans, but, you know, Nigerians running the Olympics, but, you know, they're actually from a nation of people. You know, we're the only ones still just identifying as a color. You know, somewhere on a map that's from somewhere that has no identification. It's just black. We know that somewhere. We don't know exactly where we're from, but we're from somewhere over there in Africa. You know, but you know, you know, one of those black racial groups. We're not from this nation or that tribe, but we're from one of them. So, you know, we can't be adjectives. We must be nouns. And that's just one thing that's very important. And just knowing just the self-identification, it starts there, and knowing that you are more than just a color. You are a nation of people. You come from a heritage. You come from a lineage. You come from a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and you know, and things of that nature. So that's important, because if you're not connected to your roots, you know, you have no footing in the ground. You know, and that's why so many of us are so lost out here, because we've been disconnected from our trees, our roots. You know, and of course you can't be an African American because you can't be from Africa and America, and America's north, south, and central. You can't be from 4 different places.
That's true.
So, you know, at the end of the day, this is basic thinking and semantics, and they know this, you know. So, but they know if we're silly enough to identify as this and claim this, then we're silly enough to identify you as this in their own system in the SF-181 and tell you you don't even come from a nation of people, but I know you have no idea, but I'm going to still give you pride. I'm going to give you Black Lives Matter. I'm going to give it into you. I'm going to give it to you in MLB. I'm going to give it to you in basketball. I'm going to give it to you in football. It's on the jersey. It's on the field. It's on everywhere. You know, I'm going to have pride in this blackness, because I need you to hold on to that dead legal status so I can control you. You know what I'm saying? It's all a chess game. Unfortunately, many of us are showing up with checkers. You know what I'm saying? But that will change now.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
We're going to make sure of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, just continuously talking about, you know, who we are and how we lack knowledge of who we are. You know, a lot of black families are really being torn apart with the vaccine. And a lot of times I don't really like to talk about the vaccine, but to intelligent people, we can talk facts about it. And I'll just personally say, you know, something that's going on directly in my family that I have to tell it, because I can't be having people out here going through the same thing as me, right? And so my parents, my mom is 68, my dad is 67, and they never really took medicine and stuff their whole life. They never even took the flu shot. Okay? And immediately when this vaccine came out, they were like, you know, Jill, you need to take the vaccine. I literally a year ago this exact time, I moved back to my parents' house because I was like, let's get together like the Mexicans and just really build. Like, that's my passion.
Indeed.
I can't call myself a single mom, but I'm a single mom. I just have a great village that helped me, so I never coined myself as that person. But I was like, it's gonna be great for my kid to at least be in a home that he see a wife and a husband that's been married for over 40 years. He's gonna get to witness that and see that. But it's like now that very thing has literally blown up in my face because it's like, okay, Jill, at first it was like, Jill, get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. So just 2 weeks ago, and my cameraman, we had a exchange one day. I was trying to shoot a personal vlog. I was gonna do it at home. I have an amazing room with this nice chair. I was like, I want to shoot a personal, like, just so people can really get to know me a little bit more.
Indeed.
My mom asked him, she was like, are you vaccinated? And he was like, no. And she was like, y'all gotta go. And I was like, but you knew this already. So I was like, fine. Boom, next step. But execution, we got it done no matter what. But anyways, 2 weeks ago, it was on a Tuesday evening, my mom, she started having these episodes whereas her mouth would just twist to the left side for like 30 seconds. And so my dad, like, thinking she's having a stroke, everybody assumed that. The ambulance got there. They were like, no, ma'am, your vital signs are good. Did you walk to the car? She was like, yeah. They're like, did you do this? Say your name, say your address. Everything is clear. Good. She gets to the hospital. She's literally at the hospital from Tuesday to Friday. All of these extensive tests. I can't tell her what's wrong. This past Thursday morning, she finally went to her primary physician, and they did diagnose her with a small case of Bell's palsy because of the vaccine. And this is the news. Like, I've been saying, oh, this YouTube couple, they were anti-vax and now they're dead from COVID. But they're not going to show you the real facts. And the men who are, you know, their stuff don't work anymore because of the vaccine. Women are having a lot of miscarriages at an all-time rate right now. So these are things that I research. These are things that I watch videos on. Brother RZA, like, so many. It's so much information out there, guys, and we just watching CNN. We just watching the news, like.
And they're not ever gonna tell you everything, you know. I mean, it's just like school and education, of course. Just gonna keep spoon feeding you, keep you, you know, walking that straight line.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you know, I mean, hell, nowadays, things like Instagram, social media is our news.
Yeah, TikTok,
for
all
a
that.
lot of the youth, you know, so. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about us really using these as tools and not just as, you know, forms of just taking pictures and things of that nature. I mean, that's cool, but, you know, these are tools where we can spread information. And that's what they really fear, you know. So, you know, I'm sorry to hear about your situation, you know, with your, you know, your people. But, you know, it's definitely real, you know, and we got, you know, I've had to definitely save my people, you know, a few times, like my parents, and they're like, no, we're not doing that, we're not doing that. And I have to break down, sit down and talk to them, like, nah, this is why we're not doing that. You all grew up like this, like, you know, so it's like, you know, you don't even know how your body would react to something like that now. You know, you all been going so long your entire lives without this. You know, to think that you need it now to survive doesn't even make sense, you know. my grandmothers and great grandmothers, they all lived, 80s, 90s, almost 100 years old, so. And these were people who never took vaccines and never, eating straight off the land. And, so it's like, at the end of the day, if they can survive in those times, we can survive too at these times. And, it's just all about what our mind is, accustomed to. Back then we used to think the plants, the herbs, the vitamin, the vitamin came from the plants, the herbs, everything. We would take it and eat the fruits of the nature and the vegetable. But now we think our only healing comes from a pill or some kind of shot or some vaccine that somebody made over a counter. We don't know who grew it. I mean, we don't know where it came from, who mixed it. What's the guy's name? Whose hands touched this? Did he wipe his before he took a whatever. Is his hands clean? Whatever. What I'm saying? We don't know who's been handling this stuff. But that's what you want to inject into your body, So, at the end of the day, man, it's just not natural. And everything about this system is trying to take you from your nature, from your natural self. Taking you from being that natural consumer that's in control over your life. They're trying to take you from natural. That's what it's all about. This is a de facto system. De facto is like corporate. It's fake. It's not real. It's unorganic. And de jure is a de jure government is a natural form of government. It was created with the natural people of law, constitutional or whatever, Republican or whatever, so it's just about knowing the difference. You have de jure and you have de facto. They're operating under a de facto corporation instead of a de jure natural law. So it's the same way with everything in nature. They give you GMO food instead of giving you natural food. They give you, everything it's a war between your nature. You know what I'm saying? It's much bigger than what we think. It's a mental, physical, and spiritual war to get us from being in our natural nature of who we are, especially as melanated people, because they know how powerful, we can definitely be when we're vibrating at certain levels, knowing thyself. So, we got to keep this black movement going. We can never let them know who they are.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been seeing a lot of, I seen an article about football players who are buying the vax card saying that they are vaccinated. Is there something is there a document that we can legally have as black people that can protect us from not, taking the vaccine and still traveling as nationals?
Well, at the end of the day, nobody can force you to really ever take the vaccination. It's now for all come to consent, whether you want to keep that job or whether you want to go to that school. But really, truly, at the end of the day, being able to always use that religious exemption, it goes a little bit deeper because now, you can just use an affidavit, say it's your right, your constitutional right, you don't have to do it. But, they want you to get a little bit deeper than that now, from what I'm seeing, because every day the game is changing. And, the way that I'm seeing most people now getting their success, they have to actually go to limits, set up their affairs and actually creating a religious assembly for their family. It doesn't have to actually be a building where you have your home, where you wake up every day and where you pray is your home. That's your temple. That's your religion, and basically how you, run the customs in your family. That's your religion. So, on paper, you have to actually set up a religious assembly, actually do all the paperwork for it, which is not hard. You can set it up in a day. It's very simple. We teach that on our site. But once you set up that religious assembly, it's just about knowing that from there you can go and actually write an exemption, write an affidavit from the church saying, this member is a member of the church and, this is an affidavit saying that he's within his religious rights, it's his exemption. We don't do that here at this church, and again, it's just all about how you structure your family. You got to have that church set up for your family. You got to have a nation set up for your family, because all of this is a tribe, and you all, worship a certain type of way. You have a church, that's why Grandpa back in the day used to have the family Bible. He wrote it down every time someone was born, all of that. You have to have that family church.
For your family.
If not, you're out here in these streets naked. You know what I'm saying? You don't have any protections. Don't just say you have religious rights. Prove it. Prove that you're actually a part of a religion. Because I come from a family, and my family has a church, and we have a tribe, a nation of people, which comes with treaties, and we come with, everything. But that all goes into knowing thyself, because then they know how, I got to treat you a different kind of way. You a different type of, you're not a black. You're different. You know what I'm saying? I have to address you as a living man. I can't address you as a colorable law, a colorable fictitious, because I know you're real. So talk to me as a real man. You know, so yeah, it's just all about knowing thyself. You know what I'm saying? And everything in your world starts to change. Everything. Because people have to treat you differently. You have a different aura. You shine different. You walk different. You talk different because you have confidence, because you know that you have power. Yes, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're definitely so very powerful. And I just appreciate the execution and the action that you have taken for our community, for real, because you do, like, you work so hard. You literally out here and you feeding people this knowledge. Like, I see people in your comments always trying to be like, oh this and oh that, but you still wake up every day and you give us the knowledge. So let's get into you giving us the knowledge. You have 2 books out, right? What are the names of those books?
It's called the Remedy series. You know, we have part 1, Rise of the Nation. And that's just kind of giving you an informative, you know, awakening on, you know, who we are, what's going on in the system. You know, it's definitely a good starter book if you're new to commerce and, you know, just kind of everything that's going on. And then after that, we actually have part 2, Remedy series part 2, which is estate planning and status correction, which is basically just setting up your estate, because again, this is about knowing that you are awake and you are separated from this estate, this straw man, and you're now coming to take control over it. So that book is really more so about how to set up this straw man, how to set this up as a business and take control over it. And we got a part 3 of the Remedy series coming out.
Yes, I pre-ordered that. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you. In October the 11th, and that one's actually going to be one more so on teaching you now the consumer laws, how to, you know, set up your businesses and now start how to operate in the commercial world and actually go out and acquire things with that 9-digit EIN or that Social Security, and, you know, actually acquire property and then knowing how to convey it, do the bill of sales and take it to the private world, and how to, you know, basically jump in and out, you know. And now it's, you know, I've set up, you know, part 1 was about learning what this is and awakening. Part 2 is setting up the estate. Now it's all about, boom, setting up your private vehicles, knowing why you can discharge, knowing why you can do this and that, and then learning how to actually build an empire with the information. So yeah, it's a 3-step process. I definitely don't recommend anybody jump straight to 3 or, you know, 2. Definitely, you know, go on the journey. You know, the journey is beautiful, and when you get to understand the story of why everything is manifesting the way that it is today, then you'll actually know how to make your place in humanity and know how to play your role and do your purpose. You'll live your purpose, because it's not about money anymore, you know. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, once you know that you are the creditor and you know how to take control over your life, you're unlimited. You're unlimited, you know. So you'll stop chasing dollars and you'll start chasing a purpose, you know, and you'll start leaving an impression here. You'll start leaving statues, impressions on people that'll last forever, even when you're gone. Tupac has statues here that'll be left forever in people's minds just from the work and the things that he did. And those are the type of, you know, impressions and stuff that we should want to leave for our people instead of just money. Nobody cares about how much money you have when you die. Nobody can tell you how much Steve Jobs had in his bank account when he died, but we do know everybody's still out here using these cell phones, these iPhones, these computers, these, you know, and he left something, you know, that's a legacy, you know, and that's what, you know, we should now start doing for our families too as well, leaving legacies, leaving statues, you know, something that, you know, will stay forever in our families that people will remember us by. Yeah. Indeed. Yes, indeed.
I definitely agree with that. Hey, Brother Tree. Yes. So let's get into more about status correction, right? So, like we said, it's a mindset thing. And like in my family, on my mom's side, my grandmother, she had some amazing property on the northeast side, and it was lost. Like less than a year.
Yeah,
you
like
know,
a legal battle or something like that, or
foreclosure, because you know she had got, well, we didn't know, but she got like reverse loans for some people. You know what I mean? And those people, they didn't know, you know, the law either. They didn't know, and they just didn't pay it. You know what I mean? So they lost it. And, you know, what advice can you give to families that maybe they're in a situation where they may lose their property that's in their family for a long time. They probably have back taxes, foreclosure, whatever.
Right.
What advice can you give them?
First and foremost, learn the law. Like I said, learn those consumer laws. Know who you are. Know that those loans cannot exist and you owe anything just because you funded the debt from the jump street. You gave the credit. So there is no debt because you funded the credit and therefore it already offset itself. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just number one. Know who you are.
And know what your signature means.
Yep. Know that that's the power. That signature gives them the right for them to get the credit, out of your treasury account, that obligation from the United States. They get their money 100%. If they got your social and they got your signature, which is that authorization to go in your account, that signature, we got the bread. We good. We getting ours for sure. That's how their whole concept is. Now it's just all about, well, let's see if we can sucker them and get a monthly payment out of them too. We already paid, and and if they don't know, we'll just take their property from them too. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, but you can actually go back and tax these people for fraud. You know what I'm saying? Fraud and things like that has no timetable. You can always go back and sue people for things like that. So yeah, it's just about knowing the law. I would say that first and foremost, because once you know that, know who you are, know what to do with it. Everything else is just trickle down, because it's just like, okay, well then, I know I just need to write an affidavit. You're saying you're going to come foreclose on my property. Okay, well, first and foremost, who are you? I ain't not a creditor according to Congress. Ain't not this, ain't not that. Well, if I'm lying, tell me I'm wrong. Rebut this. And at the end of the day, they never can rebut it because they already know that what you're stating is law. You know what I'm saying? If I use that 9-digit number, there's nothing that we need to talk about. It was already an obligation to somebody else to pay for. Why are you even asking me for money? Yeah. That's fraud. For you to even be asking me and you knew what already happened, like that's a Title 18 violation. Like you already know, what's going on, and you still, involved yourself in this fraud knowingly, and you still ask me for a payment every month, knowing that I already paid this debt off. Oh, fam, I got to see you in court for that. I want to get paid now because you violated my consumer rights. And, but like I said, once you just kind of know the game, this actually all becomes fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun because now we have the power. We control the chessboard, not them.
Yes. And so that's the main thing, guys, of this podcast, is to let you know that you have the power. We walk around so powerless. But we the ones who have the real power.
Indeed. For
real. And we have to do the paperwork. Yeah. We have to spend the time getting knowledgeable about these things. Our brain is the most, I always tell people. Because even with your program, it was like March when I first found out about it. And I was like, well, I'm going to wait because I'm trying to learn the bonds and futures market. That's so complicated in itself. And it was just like so many. It was like, I seen you before Puerto Rico, then it was Puerto Rico. Then I was like, you know what? I told my business partner, I was like, we have to start this now. Yeah. Because you want the money from the bonds and futures market, but how are you gonna navigate it to make sure you're not giving them assets. Yeah. And everything is about, having control instead of ownership.
There you go.
And we get so, as people, as our people sometimes, if we're not in control or we are not the captain of the ship, we want to throw the whole ship. And it's like, we have to be more humble and get our egos in check.
For sure.
And just get those out the way, because that's literally that one thing that can help us be more and do more for each other. So one thing that I always ask my guests is, who would you recommend to have on the Who Got the Answers podcast so that we can continue the conversation of helping our people and giving them the information that they need?
Brother Umar, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. Solid brother, very humble.
Yeah.
Everything that you just explained, man, and he's just a master. Yeah. The consumer laws.
Yes.
you know, I mean, just his whole camp and everything he has going on over there. Definitely very powerful,
Absolutely.
man. And yeah, man, you know, like I said, I was just in their event not too long ago, and it was powerful to be a part of a whole group of people, you know, hundreds, you know, who believed in the same vision and, you know, loving themselves and knowing that they were the creditors and the consumers and everybody was on one beat, one sound. It was dope, you know, and you know, to be able to sit with a brother so young, you know, like 26, you know, who was a powerful leader.
Yeah.
You know, I think he would be, I would definitely recommend bringing that brother on here. He would have a ton of information, you know, to fill you with. Indeed.
And he give a lot of the information on his social media, YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you guys are not selfish.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about it. You guys are just not selfish, and I really appreciate that so much. Because these are things that you guys don't have to do. No. But you respect the creator and you're out here doing the work. And I love that. Thank you. Can we just tell the people where they can find you at, how they can sign up for your courses, how they can buy your book?
Indeed. Well, on Instagram, they can find me at Brotha Truth, Brotha, like your brother, and Truth, Truth. And you can also catch our Instagram on there. It's iSelfLawAmMaster online. And if you want to catch us online, it's iSelfLawAmMaster.com. And again, it's kind of like a synonym for Islam. iSelfLawAmMaster. Not anything religious, just the practice of self-mastery. Just want to put that out there. But iSelfLawAmMaster.com. You can check that out, and you can get a subscription on there. You can see our books in the shop section. We have webinars from some of the other consultants. Definitely check them out. You can get them. You can call them up, do consultants with them. All of them have been highly trained. All of them know the information just as well as I do, if not better. And they cost a tenth of the price. I'm about to retire. I'm letting them have it now. And they got it. And, you know, it's time to build new leaders. You know, because it's not about me. It's not about, you know, Brother Umar or, you know, 19. It's not about any of us. It's about, you know, creating leaders within ourselves and having us wake up so that we can make the change that we all need to see within our own families. So, yeah, that's where you can find me at. And, yeah, you're welcome for the truth.
Thank you for the truth. So do you have any last words or comments?
You know, the only thing I would say is, you know, no matter how deep the information is or how good it sounds, you know, it means nothing if you don't choose to assert it and execute. You know, knowing the information means nothing. You know, you can be the smartest man in the world and know everything, but, you know, I'd rather be the person who, you know, takes risk and just, you know, learns from mistakes and gains wisdom instead of just, you know, sitting here trying to smart and game plan to sit on the porch all day. You need to go out there and get active and actually put this information to work, actually execute it, do the paperwork, and actually know what this is that you're getting yourself into and know who you are. Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much, Brother Truth.
Thank you.
Again, this is Who Got the Answers podcast with Mobile Jill and Brother Truth. And make sure you guys are following him and tapping into this information because this is what we need. And that's all I have to say. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
That was dope.
You're dope.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was great.
It was a great interview. Wow. I definitely want to see that.